Okay. Okay. Great. Let me share my screen. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Okay. Super. So, okay, let's start our session. So, again, welcome to this webinar. I think we're doing this webinar after quite some time. I've been thinking about sharing something which is concrete for my community, and this topic that kind of made me found it kind of I found it very interesting to share it. This is about the next 50 minutes or so. I'm going to share a case study, right? It's not just about something that a theoretical topic. It's about going to be a case study that I have gone through, where a result-driven safe transformation with an exit in mind, right? So when I say exit in mind, I'm a safe coach, and I always work in a way that I enter with an exit in mind, because it's very important that the organization sustains with a good result when I leave or even after I leave. That's a big success for me personally. They don't. It's not that they do very well when I'm there. Even when I exit, right, they actually do it much better, right? And this is a very typical good case study that I could think of, which I could share. Yeah. So so it's all about that. The next 15 minutes, it's a very interesting case study. It's not that every transformation that I go through, I see this kind of a result. There are many times that I've done safe transformation, and there are few where I got very good result. There are few got results, but it's kind of okay. Some results, but not wow. And then a few got results, but when I moved out, they started going down and so on. So this is an example of a transformation that is pretty successful, right? Even after I left. Okay, so um, okay, so quick introduction about myself. Those who don't know who am I, my name is Jayaprakash Prabhakar. I'm a safe program consultant. I'm also an enterprise coach. Um, I've been doing this agile coaching and safe coaching for over a decade now, a little over a decade, and I'm lucky enough to work in safe right from the inception of safe. The first version of safe. So I've seen a lot of safe transformation in multiple companies, starting with McAfee, later moved to Intel, and then I saw case studies in Target, in Bosch, in Siemens, and in IBM, and so on, eBay. All of these companies, I was part of many of these transformations. I've trained over 2,000 professionals at least on safe certification, right? And then 10,000 people on over 10,000. I don't have a count. Over 10,000 on Agile, and launched many safe programs. I'm not a trainer. I'm a consultant. I'm a coach. I help implement safe for the organizations, right? And then I'm also on personal side. I'm married, and I'm a happy father and a happy husband. With the two kids living in Bangalore. And it's 25, 26 years since I came to Bangalore. I came for work, and it's 25 years now that I'm in Bangalore. Yeah. So that's quick introduction about myself. This, as I told you in the beginning, this is about what can you expect in this webinar is listening to a successful safe transformation, right? What is a what how should a successful transformation look like, right? And what's the role of leadership in transformation? I want you to watch out. Whenever I say this is what we did and this is what changed, um, you will see the role of leaders, in each step, how they make it happen, or how they can break it. Yeah. So I want you to watch out on this, right? As I said, I've done many transformations. Some of them were very successful, some of them were successful, some of them were even a failure. So when I look at this is a very successful case study, it is not because of me alone, right? I would have done a small portion of my work, but the majority of the results come because of the organization culture, the leadership agility, and so on, right? So how they implement, how they make the impactful, right? And by implementing as defined. Yeah. So I want you to watch out on this. Yeah. So failure or success, I I don't belong to any of this. I don't take any of this because it's an organization that plays a much more critical role. The roles like the leaders of the organization, the business owners, the RTE, the product manager, system architects, scrum masters, product owners, right? They're a big group of people, right? They implement it, they make it happen, right? So you will hear all that how this have happened, yeah, in this case study. Okay, before even I start, let me start with this question. How many of you were part of a safe transformation, right? I want you to, put a message in a chat, right? How many of you were part of, yes or no? I want to see how many of you understand safe and were part of a safe transformation. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, good. Thanks for that. I see that, many of you, at least 50 to 60% of the people who are part of the safe transformation. So those who are already part of safe transformation, I want you to take a paper and pen and see that is this what we are also doing, right? There isn't anything that you can take it from here. Like, I'll be intrinsically motivated if I hear from you that hey, there's something that you learned in this 1 hour, and then you are able to go back and implement that. Yeah, because there are a lot of positives that I'm going to talk about. Right? Does it mean that there are no challenge in this transformation? There are enough challenges. There were enough challenges. There are still enough challenges that I'm hearing, but it's a lot more positive, right? And that's part of it. Those who are not part of the safe transformation, you will also get to see the complexity of, right, the transformation journey. And it will help you when you actually get into a safe transformation. Yeah, great. So let me go to the next one. How do you define? I want you to write in maybe like one or two one line statement or two line statement. How do you define success of transformation? Right, what does it mean as a successful transformation? Think of it, right? And I want you to just express this is what you will define as a success, right? This is my last question. After that, I will start talking. Yeah. So I want to get to hear from some of you. How do you define? Maybe
Improve
some learning for
means
me as well.
improve quality of the output.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Improve quality. Definitely. Okay. What else?
So, from the top leadership to the ground, right? Everybody should work for the same mission.
Hmm. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, timely
Please, Alak.
delivery to production, return on investment, improve agile teams
Hmm.
effectiveness.
Results.
uh,
Yeah.
creating
Business results and agile.
creating the
Which.
safe culture within the organization and making everyone aware of what is
Hmm.
safe altogether and what is the process so that everyone aligned to the process, thus
Hmm.
making the delivery more profitable and speeder to the market.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Well, it allows for some kind of media. Okay,
I can't hear you, Krishna. Maybe it's for me, but I can't hear you. Okay, good. So let us move on. I heard from some of you. Let me define my definition. When I do a transformation, how do you look? It's not a very jazzy statement. It is not big. I've just put some few words in it. This is how I look at the transformation. Yeah, a sustainable, cultural, lean, agile transformation of the leadership and organization. Yeah, this is how I look at it. A sustainable transformation. When I say sustainable, we do something, we are able to achieve something, a transformation result, and it is sustainable throughout. right? It doesn't matter whether it is now or 6 months later, 1 year later, we actually achieve that, continue that. And it's a cultural transformation, right? Some of you said it about it. Culture, what does cultural mean? Cultural can be like, fail fast is a culture. Yeah. Transparency is a culture. Trust is a culture. Highest quality is a culture. High performing team is a culture, right? So there are many cultures. Yeah, we define that these are all the three cultures that we want to build in our organization, and build that culture within the organization. That's a transformation. That means we're playing with people's mind, not just a practice and process. Yeah, and that is sustainable. This culture first happens to the leaders and then to the organization. It is not reverse. Yeah, it always will start with the leaders and then to the organization. That leads to happy, engaged employees. It is not just happy employees, right? Many times I see that employees should be happy, but we don't want only happy employees. We want happy and employees who are really engaged, right? They are there. Their dedication, their commitment is very high because they're enjoying it. Yeah. So with wow business results. Yeah, this is my definition. Yeah, sustainable cultural lean agile transformation of the leadership and organization that leads to happy engaged employees with a wow business result. Yeah, sustainable wow business results. Yeah. Now, if we achieve all of these, in my definition, that means we have kind of attained a transformation results. Yeah, that's how it's. Even if one of these is missing, if sustainability is gone, right, then it's not a transformation, it's a more transition. Cultural element is not touched, it's only the process and practice, right? I do only process, outer layer, right? I do daily scrum, we do iteration planning, we do PI planning, but not really that people understand that people don't have ownership culture, don't have fail fast culture, don't have commitment culture, don't have built-in quality culture, don't have trust culture. All of this, if the culturally it is not impacted, it's not a transformation. If the leaders are not aligned, for sure the transformation will go away, right? Because leaders drive culture, right? It's like parents drive, build the culture of the kids, right? The leaders drive the culture of the organization. Yeah. And if employees are not happy or not engaged, definitely it is not a long lasting. All of us are doing all of this just because of business. If we don't do right for the business, and business doesn't feel that we are transformed, right? Business language should change, saying that, hey, you were able to release once in a year or once in 6 months last year, but now you're able to release every month. That's a business language. Yeah. Hey, last time, in the last year, the quality of the product was so bad, but now I see that you have improved. That's a business language, right? So all this put together is in my definition of a transformation. Yeah. Now let's look at it. Some case study, quick journey. So this was one of the case studies. I will not name the company, but I just want to highlight, what happened, right? The whole journey. So December, sometime in November, December time, I was called, right? My leader, right, he called me and said, hey, this is one of these, organized teams, right? In one of the BUs, they're looking for, they need some support in Agile or Safe, right? They have some challenges and they want to talk. So we had interaction. Like, two people came and they spoke to me, and thanks to my leader who actually got me this opportunity, right? And he picked me for that, and I went there and I spoke to them. Just two leaders, they're not very senior leaders. They're at the art level leaders. Which is they were one of the leaders was like showing a lot of energy, saying that I want to make this difference. I really want to. We have a lot of problems. We want to fix it, right? So I saw that leaders had that. Those guys had some energy. Like one of them, had that energy. And then I want to understand what is the problem, right? First, when you do it, when you get into transformation, it should not be because organization is driving it. It is because I have a problem, I have a challenge, right? I have something, right? It can be my vision to change, improve, or it is some burning problem that I have and I need to fix it. Yeah. So we had this discussion. I could clearly see some challenges, and then I did a quick introduction to Safe. I told them that looks like Safe will work for you, but I want you to be convinced, right? I'm not going to push the framework, right? You need to believe that. Yeah. So we did an introduction to Safe, some 3 hours of workshop. After 3 hours, their engagement with me was even more. They said, this is exactly looks like this will solve our problem. I said, okay, let us look at it. Q1. Then we did with leadership alignment, with not only just here, even with abroad. The leaders in other from the head office also got involved in some discussions, and we spoke about business agility, right? We defined saying that, hey, this is a business agility. When you launch an art, we need to have a reason for it, right? What do you want to change, right? And then art leadership identification. We did who is the product manager, who are the product managers, who are the architects, who is RTE, and so on. Then we came up with the ArtLaunch calendar and we did trainings. When I say trainings, we did all the trainings. And then we launched an art sometime in Q1, Q2 of 2020, right? It's somewhere in the middle, started with Q1 and then we ended up in Q2, right? Q3, then Q4 is more, I was involved in PA execution. I could see some visible improvements in team and technical agility, agile product delivery. We started seeing results, in the first two quarters, two PAs, right? Slowly, we started noticing that mindset change also, right? By end of Q2. I'm just taking you through a quick journey. I will go in each of these a little more deeper after maybe a few minutes, yeah? Then Q1 of 2021 is visible results, right? Three PIs, right? Very visible results from the business point of view. Very drastic improvement in terms of quality, and then cultural, the language that the teams started talking were much different, right? I could see that. End of Q1 2021, I actually exited, yeah. And I could see that, this is this is going really good. In fact, when I exited, they were actually going up. After I exited, after 3 months, 6 months, when I spoke to some of these leaders, they said we are far better than where we were, by end of 21, right? The beauty in this whole journey is this part, right? When we started launching an art, this something called COVID came on our way. Yeah. So it just said, we did not realize that, how are you going to manage this, right? I just did a leading sales workshop and, one or two workshops we did, and it was a physical workshop. One fine day we were asked to sit at home. Yeah. So we had no idea. Did not have a laptop and, all these challenges. But now I myself didn't have any experience on launching an art remotely. But we did that, and this is the result. This context will actually make it a little more interesting for you all. That we launched an art when we didn't know, none of us knew, including me. I'm supposed to be the coach and then I'm supposed to guide them. I myself did not know how to launch an art completely remote. Yeah. But we did try, right? Intentions were so good, right? Across the leadership. And then, and that actually helped me, like the POs and Scrum Masters and, the RTE and some of the product managers and all of them, they said, no, we will have to make it happen because we have a burning problem. We need to fix it. And actually it went smooth, right? First PA planning happened 100% remote, and we still had 2, 3 PAs. We got wonderful results. Yeah. Now I will take you this as a much more deeper, in multiple steps. I kind of define this as a 5-step journey. The first is walking this leadership through the safe implementation roadmap, right? Safe, the beauty of safe is when it is implemented as defined, at least the first time, right?
Hi,
Over a
JP.
period, because of
Sorry,
maturity, you want to.
sorry to interrupt. Can I ask a question now?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the previous.
So can you? Yeah,
Mm,
go ahead. If it's short,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So on the first slide, right? So when you mentioned that we started the journey, right? So what were the problems that program or that team or that organization was facing? Based on that, you have suggested to implement safe. So that is something I'm just looking for, or you are going to cover in the end.
So can you hold on? I will take the pause,
Sure.
right?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Questions would be answered as we move on. Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Good. Okay. So the first step was that, go through the safe implementation roadmap exactly step by step, and then, then identify why safe, right? My question always for them was, where do you want to move to safe? Right? It is not me who want to sell safe. It should be solving your problem, right? We did that, and then we did a value stream identification. We did operational value stream. We did different development value stream. We identified an art, where to launch, and then, that art we implemented. Then when we identified an art, we came up with the launch plan, right? Art launch preparation, we came up with a bunch of bunch of activities that we need to do the next 2, 3 months to launch an art. Art gets launched always with the first PA planning, right? So we do art launch includes the first PA planning, and then comes your PA execution, right? We do a 2-day planning and then get into PA execution. So this is how I defined as a 5-step. Let's go through the implementation roadmap, and then we identify the reason for it. and then value stream identification, then identify an art, do a preparation for art launch with the PI planning, do a PI planning, and then PI execution, and start measuring the results. Yeah. So now implementation roadmap. Where did we start? First step that I started was with the go safe reason, right? What is the reason for you as an organization to move to safe, right? It should be a business reason. It should be a cultural reason. There should be something that is very impactful. Yeah. Otherwise, we will start doing all the practices and process. We'll do iteration planning. We will do daily stand up. We will do review retrospective. We'll do system demo, but we don't know the why part of it, why of this whole journey, right? So I want to understand, why do you want to move there, right? And I clearly got a context that there is a product is an emerging and innovation space. We are not able to do that, right? It's a very, very important that we have to grow much faster, aggressive plans to capture the market, right? Complex, very complex product, and equally complex in business model also. Faster time to faster to market is very important. We are not able to release even once in 6 months, right? But very important that we should be able to release every now and then, right? And safe drives release on demand, right? So when I said all these terminologies, they got super excited, saying that yes, I think we want to achieve this. So there we identified certain areas, like some of the very high level goals we identified were like reduction of lead time and cycle time, right? A backlog comes, as a customer comes with a request, we reduce the whole lead time and cycle time, right? Increase in quality, release predictability. We want to increase the predictability from 50-60% to at least 80-90%, right? Roadmap, right? Though it was a complex product, the roadmap was not available for the organization, right? For the teams, even for the product managers, did not think about it because it's more agile. Let's work on sprint over sprint. Let's not think too much. But that was a big problem, right? The maturity, even the lean and agile maturity, even agile maturity was pretty low, and overall happiness and engagement of the employees were also low, right? So this was, I found it during my initial interactions, and then I came up with this. Let's identify this as two parts. What are your burning platforms today, right? Failing to compete, or inadequate way of achieving results, and so on. And what are your visionary leadership? Where do you want to see yourself? There are certain things, and it's not a problem for me today, but a year from now, 2 years from now, we want to reach here. Yeah. So we define a template. Like, what is your current state? Identify reason, release time to market, right? We build in quality increase, like things like that. So there are some current the reasons for us to move to say what are we today, current state, and where do you want to go? It's literally a to be state, which is the ideal state. Yeah, this may take, some of the goals may take even 2 years to achieve, right? I said remove all your constraints and let's define that, right? So okay, we have too many defects, we want to go close to zero defects. Okay, and what else, right? Then we are able to, we're not able to release once in even 6 months, right? Sometimes it takes 9 months. How often you want to release? That imaginary session created that we want to release every moment. I said, okay, great, right? But finally they said, at least we want to release once in 2 weeks, right? From 9 months to 2 weeks. Yeah. I said, yeah, put this there, right? Put this, let us see. When do you want to achieve? By when you want this? Practically looks like it will take 2 years. I said, why not 1 year? Right? Let's define a goal like that for us, right? I think we need to look at, if it is critical for you for the business, let us address it much more critically, right? So we define this, and this was the fundamental document that we created for us to drive the entire transformation. Yeah, and this also included the employee engagement, included the cultural elements, and so on. Yeah, and then once we did it, then I did a 2 days of workshop with the leading safe, right? And now that, so how it helped me was this go safe reason, I used it before the leading safe and after the leading safe. I kept on referring it so that the people started remembering it. Even in the 2 days of leading safe workshop, I was saying that if you need to achieve this goal, like release on demand, you need to build a CI pipeline, you need to build a CD pipeline, and you need to strengthen your automation, things like that. And where are we in automation? So the 2-day workshop became actually 3 days workshop. And then it became like, with a bunch of actions, right? Oh, these are all the big gaps, right? And I really enjoyed that because the consulting started in the training, right? And after that, we identified value stream. We said, okay, where do you want to pick? The leaders went through. There are 15 leaders who went through this training, leading safe, and then we said, where do you want to start, right? And then the value stream. Let's identify the value stream. We kind of identified end-to-end value stream, and we said, okay, this is where we want to launch an art. Yeah, somewhere we identify, and then we identified the art. So the value stream is like we identified a operational value stream, we identified the system. So if you look at it, these are all operational value stream, and these are the systems and subsystems we build. These are the people who build it, and this is where we have a problem. I think we should really focus on this, right? And that happened. So prepare for ArtLaunch. We started really preparing for the ArtLaunch, right? We know now these are the people who need to move to safe. Then we did POPM workshop. We did a safe Scrum Master workshop. Then we did the safe for teams. Everybody was trained, and then we launched a PI plan. Yeah. So now I'll give you context of art launch. How did we do the art launch, right? Some context, right? Agile teams were some anti-patterns, right? Before we launched, right? My assessment was that agility itself is missing. We need to strengthen this. Legacy code for 2-3 years. It's around 2-3 years of code, right? With known quality issues. Leadership and teams across multiple countries. The leaderships were definitely across multiple countries, right? And 70 people from 70 locations. This came in the middle of the art launch because of a COVID. So which means it literally remote planning, right? And that's what fully remote and critical products for the business. In the business unit, this is one of the critical products, right? People are all looking up to this side. We need to make a difference. So we did it in a 5-step process. The first one is definitely started with leadership agility, right? Prepare the business and the leadership for the art launch. So I had one session with the leaders across the globe saying that this is how the safe transformation is going to be. Are you aligned? Right? I want you to be committed here. If you don't commit, nothing is going to work, right? We made a leadership working agreements, right? What is it you are signing up for, and what is it I am signing up for, right? I'm not going to be here like a Swamiji just giving some gyan and moving away. My skin is in the game, right? I will deliver value, but without you, nothing will work. So we made an agreement, and then we started identifying the ARC leaders like RTE, SA, same, system architects and product managers, and identification of SMs and POs. We made a very clear definition of who can fit into these roles, right? Functional skills and behavioral skills and so on. So we handpicked some of those people. In fact, the RTE who was part of it, is one of the best RTEs that I've seen in my career. We sat together and we defined, right? We wrote JD, right? And he went around the company and then he figured out some of those SMs and POs. He brought them into the system. He said, this person is really good. We'll align. I want this person to come into the system, right? A couple of SMs, POs are highlighted within the organization move. Yeah. And I coached the leadership, the program leaders, scrum masters, product owners, agile teams, all of this with the leaders were coached, right? Hiring, right? Work with the HR to enable JDs. We actually wrote JDs. Like, for example, we decided that we'll not hire new manual testers. Any more manual testers will not come into the system. We made some decisions like SMs will come with this ability, right? We made some decisions that, we will hire 40% of the people, at least 40 to 50% of people will be full stack engineers, any new hire, right? We also had a very clear career path for the internal people, cross skilling, right? What are we going to do with our UI developers and backend developers and so on? We made a very clear plan. How do you want to improve? How are you going to inject this, right? How are we going to spend some capacity for cross skilling and so on, right? So and so I think so that way, like DevOps, right? We want to build a DevOps, not just tools and DevOps mindset, right? So we had to hire a bunch of people with DevOps skills, right? And it was a little painful getting. It was not easy to get people, but the great thing was that stood onto that, and we decided that we will hire only these kind of people, and then hiring made a big change for us. Yeah. And trainings and tooling. And we conducted all the trainings like leading safe, POPM, Scrum Masters, training on the teams, like agile trainings for the teams, and because they were also relatively not so great in agile, so we had to train them on agile and then train them on safe, right? And coach to design and develop the backlog flow, right? The entire backlog management has to be redefined. The tooling, for example, till now we have been using Jira Agile, so now we can't use Jira like Zero Agile because we need to use a tool Jira which is supporting safe, so we have to do tool selection and so on. Backlog management, defining a roadmap, defining a vision that was not available, so we had to spend some effort on this, enabling RTE to facilitate this whole thing, yeah, with architects and product managers, and building, establishing a program Kanban, right? How the backlog moves from one end to another, all the way from continuous exploration, continuous integration, continuous deployment, and release on demand, right? How the backlog moves from one end to another, right? We define that, and we organize around value, right? Defining and building a CD pipeline, right? DevOps mindset, the art structure deliver value. We restructured the teams, right? We made sure that the people are the engineering teams are capable of delivery, right? Every new person comes in, we made sure that the new person is better than anybody in the team, right? we succeeded sometimes we did not succeed many sometimes, but conscious effort was spent on getting the best talents in, right, the right talents in. And we also made sure that other departments, who are required to be part of the art, aligning your QMM, or aligning other departments who are part of the system, but their support is required for us to succeed. We brought them. And agile teams were constructed in a way that they can deliver independently, they can deliver value, right? This was a challenge in the past because there were testing team and there was more development teams and so on. We restructured in a way that the team can deliver value, right? They can define, build, and test and then deliver. Yeah. So this is where we are launching. There's a lot of work, right? And this is where that we had this shock of COVID, but we still continue to do it. We kind of delayed the plan by a month or so, 1.5 months probably, on launching a PA plan. But we still were able to do all this preparation. To a large extent, we did this preparation. Yeah. Then we did a PA planning. So this PA planning was, from my experience, it was the first time, remote, right? Just after a few months in the COVID. So the entire thing was, tool based. Like, this is a structure that we created. You can see that, each team got, I used a tool called, concept board. It's a pretty good tool. So each team got, team boards created. They were trained on how to use the tool, how to use each of these boxes, right? You can see that it's a team's backlog and each iteration, and the capacity, risks, and the team will pay objectives, and so on, right? Each team. And then we also had an overall planning agenda, 2 days of planning agenda, and then a system team, and then definition of done for user story and the feature, all the team structure, working agreements for the PA planning, how we want to do it, all that, and Scrum we did here, right? We on every couple of hours we're doing Scrum online. So we literally followed exact PA planning as how it was defined, right? And it was a great experiment for me, but I know we could achieve that, right? These are some of the outcomes. You can see that this was the outcome of a PA program board. These are all the team level PA objectives. Each team that they could come out with. This is one of the sample team planning board of multiple iterations and assumptions and capacity and risks and so on, right? And the planning was done. It was a lot of so it was very tiring, right? In fact, the first PA planning, because we also had to involve some of our other colleagues, and it went till from outside India. The planning got over on second day at 11:30 p.m. Yeah, the Indian time, IST, right? And predominantly the teams were Indian teams. The engineering teams were Indian teams, and it went till 11:30. It was tiring, but there was some level of additional energy that I could see. Like, people were still working and they were able to, they were also in excitement, right? And we did a planning and we got into the PA execution. Like, we came up with the art execution, like, um, each team will do like, iteration planning, daily scrum, review, retrospective, right? Backlog refinement. So Scrum events are literally followed for every team. On top of that, we also had an additional layer of program level events, right? For example, PA planning, right? To start with and end with inspect and adapt. We also had a system demo. End of every 2 weeks, we will have a system demo, right? For sure. And we have Scrum of Scrums, right? We also had a POC, right? We just made a calendar that this is how our iterations are going to work. And we defined all these, how we are going to operate, and and it was a good experience for all of us to, for them to really learn. At the end of the PI, every PI, we continuously doing this inspect and adapt, right? Identifying of, doing the 6-step, way of IND, the problem solving workshop, in end of every PI, identification of problem, and then using this YY analysis and fishbone, identifying, doing YY and figuring out the root cause, restate that, restate the problem with the root cause, and then brainstorming the solution and come up with actions, right? All that we did properly, right? So to everything, it is not just practice and process. It was every moment when I was working, right? From the day beginning, I was telling always that, guys, I will exit at some point. I want you to be sustainable, which means first PI, I will stand in the front and do it. Second PI, we will stand together, art leaders and I. Third PI, I will step back and watch. Fourth PI may not be there. I don't know. When I said that, it actually happened, right? And my mother used to say that, when you say sometime, it happens. Yeah. So say only good things. So I don't know, when I said that, It actually happened in the same way. I stood in the front, drove this whole PA planning, the ArtLaunch and PA planning. Second PI, I wanted RTE, product managers and architects to step up, and then I kind of reduced my workload to less time while watching. Third PI, I said I'm going to be silent, right, to a large extent. I want you to completely operate. I want to see without me are you able to do that. And I got a solid confidence that these guys will be able to do that. And fourth PI actually I was out, right? What kind of results we got, right? The results were outcomes, right? Let me start with it from team and technical agility point of view, right? So scaling without agility is a failure. Yeah, um, scaling without agility is a disaster in my view, right? You get into safe, but your agile teams are not good agile teams. It's going to fail big time. So what we did is I constantly worked with Scrum Masters, POs on improving fundamental agile process and practices. Like, how do even if you look at this, I have a way of conducting, a kind of assessment with the team, and you can see that before PA1 how it was, right? Don't worry about measurement, what's the number and all that. There are ways. It will take maybe 1 hour for me to explain you how to do that. I want you to look at the green lines going up, yeah, from 41% saying that we are doing good to 89.2% saying that we are really doing good on daily Scrum, retrospectives, Scrum, other Scrum practices, Kanban. When I say Kanban, limit work in progress, on things like that. Time box development, incremental value delivery, right? Are we incrementally delivering value in an iteration itself? Like, we are not waterfall inside 2 weeks iteration. So, so you can see that some people say we are truly waterfall, and after 2-3 PIs, it became like, from 37% went to 92%. People feel that we are agile, really, right? Every team that I worked on this art actually got this result. Yeah, it's not that I said this. It's not that it's my assessment. It is a reflection by the team saying that this is how we are doing it. So this comes from this. Each of these box come from at least 6 or 8 questions that I ask, and then it's a consolidated result. Yeah. So each question they have to answer in a way that comes down, thumbs up, or not sure. And they did this, and then we were able to see this kind of a result. Self-organized, cross-functional, right? So everywhere we saw, right, at least some 12, 14 elements that we had. In every element, I saw improvement. And some of the element I saw huge positive result, right? Like, like this 16 to 86, and 29 to 30 to 92, and 14 to 76, right? It's a very positive agility. So we made sure agility is improving. Every PA we started measuring, yeah. And after that, this is a predictability and overall safe measurement, yeah. The PA predictability measure in terms of business value achievement, right? It was predictability overall. Before the PI1, they were not. What I understood is, we are not predictable. Yeah. But PI1, we wanted to get 70% predictable from a business value point of view, right? And we got around 68. Second PI, we want to get 80, and then we got 83. And what I understand is after the fourth PIs and the fifth and sixth PI, they went close to 90%. Yeah. So this is what the data that I collected. Roadmap, right? Before the PI1, so you can also have a context that this arc was running for 2-3 years as an individual agile teams, and there was no much roadmap. But end of PI1, we made sure, beginning of PI1, during ArtLaunch, we made sure that they at least have 2 months of at least one PA roadmap, clarity they have. And beginning of PA2, during PA1, we made sure that we will get to at least 6 months of roadmap, right? And after 3 PIs, right, it's all exactly not just 6 months, it went beyond that. Yeah. So the product managers and architects started staying far, right? The moment they started staying far, the lot of clarity came for the team. Right? Oh, this is what I'm building now, but in the long run, this is what we're going to build it. Yeah. So a lot of clarity came for the teams. So, and quality point of view, right? Defects, 2 years of data was, I saw that the defect never went down below 200 plus. Yeah. And in 3 PIs, we brought them to 100, and then it was, I think it has gone down to 50 or low after some time. Right? Security issues. We did not even measure in the past, but we measured in the PI1, and then it went to 48, and then we brought in PI4. Beginning of PI4, it came down to 0 almost. Yeah. And the coverage of test and code coverage. So you can see that the system test coverage It was 0 before, and constantly we set a goal like we want to improve 10%, 20%. We made some progress. So this is existing system test coverage. And code coverage, we have two goals. One is existing components, how do you want to improve? And what is our goal for the new components? Any new line of code, our code coverage cannot go below 80%. Yeah. So you see that the green lines, 78, 77, 83, 81, it was pretty good, right? And we also improved from 14.8% to almost 40%, right, in 3 PIs. Yeah, so this was the result that we got in terms of quality, right? From the code coverage point of view. Technical debts. We started identifying technical debts. We had a workshop with the architects and some of the technical folks saying that what are the debts we have? Can we identify the debts? And we kind of identified the debts, and then we started actually closing the debts. So it became a culture that, for me, the technical debt is a karma. Yeah. So it is something that you did something wrong in the past, it will come back and hit you in future. Yeah. And this is exactly what happened. So and the teams are suffering because of the past issues. Yeah. We constantly we created a technical debt backlog, and we started prioritizing as part of WSJF, which is this highest critical one that we need to fix it. Otherwise we'll suffer. Right. Refactoring opportunity or automation code coverage increase and things like that. And we started addressing that every PI. And static code analysis, we introduced only in PI. We end up with somewhere in the PI one only, we introduced it and we measured it, and we saw that with Sonar way, we got this. And after end of second PI, we also upgraded ourselves to Sonar recommended. Organization's recommendation was Sonar way, but this particular art went ahead and said we want to measure ourselves with a much more stringent guidelines. So they used Sonar recommended. Suddenly it went from 300 to, you can see, 10,000. Yeah, Sonar recommended gave 10,000 issues. Then we started bringing down, right? You can see that from 10,000 plus, it has come down to like 4,000 in 2 PIs, right? So, and CI setup, there was no CI. PI1, we defined how to set up a CI pipeline. PI2, we defined and we did some part of it. PI4, fully it was set up. Yeah, it was complete. It was very seamless integration. I check in the code, it goes, right? At least the CI point of view, not CD, right? Visible business outcomes that I saw were like, lead time and then cycle time reduction. You can see that around, lead time was 200 plus 250 plus, and it came down to, like 100 days. Cycle time was around 216 or something like that, 200 plus, and it came down to 34 days. Yeah. So it's like 200 plus to 30 days. Right? It was a great change. We came down to 30 days. They were kind of, it went up to 35 days and it kind of stabilized here. Yeah, cycle time 30 days is like 2 to 3 iterations. We'll be able to do that. Yeah. And number of releases. This was like at least once in 6 months, not earlier than that. End of PI, we made a release. End of PA2, we made a second release. And we set a goal that we cannot stay here we want to achieve release on demand. Let us better test our ability. We said we will release every 3 weeks once. Yeah. In 3 months, like, 2.5, 3 months, we made 4 releases. Right. And PA4, we made 4 releases. Right. Visible business outcome. Yeah. Drastic. Right. The capacity that was spent before a PA1 was 35% for new business value. 65% was on defect fixing and a lot of other things. Right? We could kind of figure out its maximum was 35. In 3 PIs, we increased by 20%. In spite of spending, see, this 57% is not, it looks like it's a small number, but in spite of spending time on automation, in spite of spending time on technical debt reduction, in spite of spending a lot of other things, defect reduction, you saw that with all of this, we still improved our business value delivery percentage. If we have capacity of 1,000 hours, 600 hours were spent on business value delivery. Yeah, the new feature development. Right, the teams were able to deliver more value. Right, and that was also a big change personally for me. And the biggest achievement that I saw that was last year, the team was awarded as the top. They went for an award as like the finalist award. The team was such, identifies that as one of the best teams in globally, not just in India, not just in Bangalore, globally across the globe. They were identified one of the best teams. Right, it was nominated. Right, they did not win the finalist, but they went all the way there. Right, from where to where. Right, we are struggling with business agility. But after 2 years, and this was identified as one of the best teams, and that was and when the team got this award, I was not even there in the organization, right? This is a sustenance. This is a sustainability of a cultural transformation with employee engagement and wow business results, right? The definition, right? So my learnings from this, right? I will. This is my last slide, and then I will let you ask questions so that I can answer. Yeah. My learnings is lean agile leadership drives transformation, not the coach, nobody else, not the teams, right? Not the framework. SAFe is a wonderful framework. I'm a big fan of SAFe. Many of you, I know many of you, I know many of you here. I could see the names and I could figure out. You know me talking about SAFe for years. Yeah. I'm a big fan of SAFe. But the framework alone will not give us a result. The human, the people who need to do that. And it has to come from the leaders, right? Top leaders. The commitment should be such that we get results. Yeah. We will not stop till we get the results, right? And we do everything for the transformation. Second is implement safe as defined. I see organizations tweaking the implementation from the beginning itself. So the anti-patterns becomes a pattern over a period. Right? This is how we do it, and you won't get results, much results. Yeah. So, and if you want to tweak, maybe after 3, 4 PAs, tweak for valid reasons. Right? We want to be even better, so we are tweaking it. Yeah. So not that tweak the framework for your comfort. Yeah. The third learning is the continuous learning and improvement culture is tough to build, right? Like, for example, continuous improvement, right from hiring, right from building the skill for our team members, right? It was very hard to say that we will build X percentage of our people, minimum X% of the people should be full stack developers. It is not easy. Yeah. The investment is much higher. You won't get profiles. But having that mindset that this is how I want to build my organization, right? And that is very, very tough to build. But once you build it, it will give you exponential result. Yeah, I saw that the people who came in were so good, and we constantly spent effort on improving our existing people, right? Whatever I inherited as a team, we started improving and improvement culture. Constantly, we used to look at closely the retrospective actions, I&A actions, and so on. Every PA we measured, are we improving on those? Right, all that was a wow. And that was a big learning. uh, Remote art launch. I had no idea when I started with the art launch or the mid of the art launch whether it's going to happen or not. But we just decided that we will do it. Let's figure out. Right, the whole world is not going to stop because of this. Let's do it. So when there is a will, we figure out a way. Right. I would say proudly that we are one of the probably. This was one of the art launches, very early art launches across the globe, probably. Right. Even the safe. I'm sure many of those organizations would have postponed this because of this COVID, but we could do that. Yeah. Uh, so the mindset is very important. That we will step forward, we will do that. Yeah. So that was a great learning for me. That I think this is the way that we should operate. Focus on hiring. I spoke about it. Right. As a coach, right. Plan with an exit in mind. Otherwise, I'll get stuck. Right. It's important that enable the leaders, enable the art leaders, enable the team level leaders, enable the team to be a lot more self-organized and self-managed, that so that they are able to take it forward, right? And when you start doing it, and then we identify the right people in the right role, and then start coaching them, it gives you wonderful result, right? I was able to come out, right? And there was no damage. In fact, after a year also, I had to be in they asked me to come for a call and said, can you set a goal for year 2, right? But that was in PI 5, right? It's 2.5 months PI. So can you come in and help us? Because I moved out of the organization, and I went back, and some people said, "Oh, JP, how are you? A long time," right? They even forgot about me, right? That was a great experience, right? I felt, wow, great. People are able to operate right on their own, right? So yeah, so this is all that I got. Now I will open it up for questions. Yeah. So I have maybe 5, 7 minutes we have. Let me open it up for questions.
Yeah,
Any
JP, I think
questions, comments?
hi. Yeah, so this is really a very success story, and I think lots of insights you have put as part of this case study. My initial question was about at the beginning, right? So when you went to that organization, right? So what were the problems which that program or organization was facing, and then you suggested to implement safe, maybe implement
Sure.
safe can solve their problems. Yeah,
Sure,
I'm
I'll
more.
answer. I'll answer. I'll answer that. Yeah. So different problems where one is business agility, right? It's very important that agility should be considered as business agility, not just a process agility, doing some process elements. So business agility problems we address, we're not able to release on time. We're not able to, we plan for 6 months and then it goes out 9 months, right? We're not able to really plan even once that we could release on time. Number two was, we want to release much more faster. We don't want to release once in 6 or 9 months. We want to release every 2 weeks, right? And you saw the number of releases, right? This was a problem, right? Quality was bad. We were spending 60-70% of the capacity for defect fixing and things like that, right? 30% of the effort, 30-35% of the effort was spent on new feature development. It looks like too much of a too many technical debts that we are carrying, but we don't know how to solve it, right? And because of this, overall motivation level is low. Teams are not very happy because they have to stay back weekends, late nights, right? Employee engagement was not great, and this is very critical for the product for the business. And we will, if it's successful, we will have to scale it up, right? So we're not there yet, right? All of these were the problems identified, and whole transformation was aligned to achieve those business goals, right? I remember I said go safe reasons. The whole transformation was aligned to achieve those goals, right? And that goals were not only one part of it; it's a holistic view of a transformation, right? From employee, from the leadership, from the customer, from business, from everything. Then we identified a bunch of goals and we started marching towards. We decided that we will measure these every PI, and we will publish in our PI system demo. And we started publishing some of these even in system demo every 2 weeks, right? Quality was very critical. We said, let us publish automation code coverage increasing every 2 weeks. Right? Let people see, even if 2% increase, let us publish it, right? And when we started publishing, it started moving up.
Yeah, thank you. So could we not have just implemented maybe simple Scrum, right? With 10 teams working and then Scrum or Scrum, and then having all those team motivation factors in place, right? And all the DevOps, so
Yes.
all the
Yeah,
early releases.
answer
So
depends.
why only
I
safe?
understood the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the safe comes in. Safe is a beautiful framework when the teams have to work together and deliver one product. Yeah. If there are 10 different teams, it's always, I would suggest not to get. That's why I always check with the organization, why safe? Do you know what safe can give you? Don't put safe in the wrong place, right? So if there are 10 teams, 15 teams working together, right, and then they are delivering one product, they have collaboration, they have to collaborate, they have dependencies, they have a common feature to deliver, common product to deliver, common quality guidelines to maintain. These are all the parameters. There are a few that I said. There are many more. If these are the parameters that are critical, then safe will actually help you, right? When I did this initial study, I felt that this organization will get benefit out of safe, not because of not on agile, because they have to collaborate a lot more, right? They have this one product. It was one product, and there are a bunch of teams working together, pretty much in silo, not talking, and they were creating a silent culture. So we have to break that, saying that hey, this is one product, any team can work on any of this backlog, right? This is a culture that we want to build. So safe actually there. Yeah. Okay, Kuldeep, you have a question?
I have two questions, JP. One, how safe is actually successful in the fixed price model, delivery model? Second question, I'll ask second question later. Go on.
Sure. No, go ahead and ask so that I can.
Second question is actually industry is adopting more over Spotify model, where we have the multiple Scrum team, right? Where we have the multiple Scrum team, rather than actually going change the governance model and they are actually going on the Spotify model rather than the full safe. Yeah.
Okay. Second question I need to answer straight because that's not right for me to do that. I am a fan of safe. Right? I'm a big fan of safe. I've seen huge results getting. I've also seen the organizations moving from some other work to safe, right? Because we tried this for 2 years, 1 year, it didn't work, and then so. But I can't really comment on what is right, what is bad, because I don't have in-depth knowledge of Spotify. Yeah, so I don't want to make a comment on that. But sorry, so I forgot your first question. Can you repeat that?
No, the first question in the fixed price pricing model, how safe is actually successful?
Yeah, see, safe brings a product mindset, Yeah, this fixed price and it's a more project mindset. I will give you X amount of money, you build and give me, then I'll pay you that money, and then we are done. It just doesn't work. Product development never doesn't work in this way. Product development is a long, say art, agile release train is a long-lived train. The release train that I launched in Intel, 8 years back, 9 years back, still running. Yeah, the release trains I launched elsewhere, in Siemens 2 years back, 3 years back, it's still running. Yeah. So 5 years back, I launched somewhere else, it is still running. So uh, they're long-lived trends. The product mindset is very important. Just I would say it will not work for a project mindset. Yeah.
Yes.
So also that if you have a temporary problem, I want to implement say for 6 months, 9 months. See that there is a hockey stick. Transformation is always a hockey stick transformation. Yeah. I'll tell you what does a hockey stick mean. When you start the journey, there is always a dip. It is there is a new way of working, right? It's a complete new way of working. It will actually shake. You're shaking the entire organization, right from leaders till you're the fresher who joined yesterday. Yeah, everybody is getting shaken. Will they all change overnight? Human cannot change like that. Yeah. So there will be a dip in the beginning. Over a period, it will go up. It will go up to exponentially based on how you implement SAFe, or any framework for that matter. Yeah. So the results, I didn't show you result for one PI. I showed you result after 3, 4 PIs. How the results are going up, right? That is when the teams move from forming to storming to norming to performing. Some organizations, some arts get to performing stage after 2, 3 PIs. Some takes 5 PIs. Some may not even achieve that. Yeah, because we have compromised on many of those cultural, alignment issues. Yeah, so. Don't look at SAFe as a temporary for you.
That's
It
correct.
is something that which you
I
want
do
to
understand now. I have one more question here. When we go for the transformation and we need to skill the internal, our manpower. So in this particular case, when we say we are not going to hire the manual tester or something or functional people, so what about the people which are already actually working with us? How we can transform them? In the
long time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have the same situation here as well. We had actually, when I started, we already have like 70%, 80% of the people are there already. Yeah. It's not that I got a chance to build from scratch. Yeah. So it is just all that we added was maybe 15, 20% of the new people. So the 15, 20% of the people who came in, they were in a much higher scale in terms of skill and ability and things like that. Right? In much higher thing. Right? Or are you hiring somebody who's okay? He's also average and he will also come in and he needs support. Right? Let's not hire somebody who's so that actually brought even 2 people out of 10 newly joined are very high in skill, actually bring the team up. Yeah. Overall team up, number one. Number two, you need to spend capacity, you need to spend constantly talk about upskilling your people. Right? Moving from I skill to T skill to pi skill to com skill. It's a big journey. Yeah. Universe is inefficient, yeah, but it is effective. So if there is the whole universe is inefficient. Even a small tree to grow to that tall, it takes years. Yeah, it doesn't grow in 3 months, 6 months. Yeah, you take a look at the universe. Anything that we have right, evolution of mankind. It took like millions of years wherever we are today. Yeah, so we cannot expect that people to just change overnight, saying that hey, tomorrow I know you are a UI guy, you are a manual tester. Tomorrow you should be a developer. It will not work. Because the last 10 years, you was a manual tester. Yeah. Now, are you committed to bring that person up? Right? Is that person committed to spend additional effort and learn? Right? It all, you have to create this formula. So it is not so the result, right, is not just one simple formula. If you see that there are 10, 15 things we did to get this result. Yeah, getting the right hiring, upskilling people, structuring the art in certain way, setting up tough goals to and then measuring every PI, right? And coaching personally the Scrum Masters, POs, right? Effective backlog management, bringing the technical debts down, right? Automation coverage increase. All this have to be done for it to get. So one of the toughest thing in my experience is the structural agility, right? I always see that process is easier, very easy. Like bringing a daily scrum, bringing a planning is very easy, not a big deal. Changing people, like I make a manual tester to automation is tough.
Mindset.
mindset. Third is really the mindset and culture, right? One is the ability and mindset. Yeah. I am able to learn. I am willing to learn. There are two different things.
Correct.
I am right. A developer, backend developer says I will be able to learn UI development, but am I willing to learn? Both have to be addressed. Right? Your existing people, you have to play with all of this, and you have to talk maybe one-on-one, coach people. Right? People are not that bad. But are we setting that context, bigger context for them? 2 years from now, I always tell people that, hey, 2 years from now, you're a great backend developer. 2 years from now, you're also a great UI developer. You're also great, something else.
Yeah.
Hi, JP, Dipankar here.
Right? Is that not good for you? I said, yeah, of course, good. Why can't you spend effort? Why do you want to be just? This conversation need to happen. Yeah.
So one more question. Sorry, last question here. Sorry, Dipankar.
Can I take Pradeep's question?
Can
I take Pradeep's question and come back? Yes, he's been waiting for some time. I'll come back. Yeah, sure. Pradeep, go ahead. We're not able to hear you. Okay, go ahead.
He posted his question in chat. How will you help team to identify value stream? Is it features?
Oh, is it? Okay.
Aspects?
Yeah, Suraj here. I was the one. How actually you are helping team to identify value streams? Because is it a feature or is it a story or that way?
No. Value stream is much bigger thing. Value stream is organizational level. Like, it's a big topic. It's probably like 2 hours of topic to talk. Value stream is something like how we manage the business. Operational value stream is all about managing business from one end to another. Yeah, and it's a sequence of activities to deliver a product or a service in short definition. Yeah. Right, and then you identify the systems that is required to support, and then you identify the people who build those systems. Right, that's called development value stream, and then you come up with the agile release stream. Yeah, so the value stream thinking has come from Lean. It's a very beautiful concept. It focuses on delivering value to customers. Yeah.
But do you help the team to identify those things, or is it something to do with the organization?
Value stream is much higher, even bigger than an art, right? Right, for the value stream that I did, this was a value stream of 300, 400 people, and then we picked one art from that, right? 70 people that we want to implement. Okay, what method you using? Code coverage, test coverage, and code coverage.
Agile maturity model, which
me actually, Dipankar here. That question that you mentioned, JP, bit on the technical side as well. In one of the slides, you showed PI on PI increase on system test coverage as well as code coverage. So my question is, what tool you use for doing that? Was it part of your CI/CD pipeline already? And how reliable was that? Because this is quite convincing metrics actually, if it is measured and dashboarded properly.
Yeah. So it depends on, again, technology. Some technologies are, if you use old technology, there are challenges that I have seen. Like measuring a code coverage is not that easy because there are no tools. But the latest technology tools, and you use either UI development or backend development, like for example, AngularJS or React.js or all this, even UI development, this possible to measure now. Yeah. So there are many tools. And it's available to measure. Yeah, the test coverage is a code coverage part of it, right? The best way to do see, unit testing should not be just be code coverage. It is what is important is, are you covering the unit is testing properly the unit test, right? The test code is properly testing the unit. So there is a very beautiful way of doing it by something called BDD. Right, behavioral driven development. Right, if you get a chance, please read about it. The unit testing written based on BDD will actually give you a much better result. Yeah. So, and code coverage will go up, and then it will also test the scenarios very well. Yeah. More than a tool, I would say use BDD even versus TDD. People think that TDD is very painful. I'm saying that BDD is even much better than that. Yeah.
BDD is even wider than TDD, no? I mean, it is more difficult to implement.
Yeah, but it just gives you. See, that's why I'm saying the product thinking is very important. Yeah. So in the long run, it gives you exponential results, and it's very important that we don't spend time on only if I put the 4 quadrants, right, on one side is urgent and not urgent, other side important and not important.
Right.
This all comes in important but not urgent box, right?
Right.
It is not urgent, yeah, but it is very important long run. Most of the time we neglect important and not urgent, and where we always focus on is urgent but not important. Yeah, so that's a total wrong formula to follow. So BDD will bring in the long run huge results, right? And that will actually help you. So this is why I'm saying that the product thinking will help you, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
which agile maturity model do you use? I see a question from
Suraj.
Pradeep again. We have my own talking to people, bringing them together, and then measure. It's more than just measuring, identifying the gaps and start improving it. Yeah, yeah. So, any other question?
Yeah, one question. Sorry, I have JP. Say there is one organization who is very interested to go into the to adopt the agile practices or safe practices, but they are in very beginning actually. Yeah. So they ask, okay, what will be your approach actually just to to adopt the agile agile practices here in my organization. So definitely we cannot go big bang on the implementation on safe from the beginning. We should start from small, right? Because we need to look into the business as usual. Also, there shouldn't be any impact on the business continuity. What will be your approach, JP, in that case?
So when people approach me saying that, hey, for example, when we want to implement SAFe, see, this hockey stick will surely happen. Yeah. So now the question, I'll let the leaders decide that, do you want to do it now or do you want to do it later? But whenever we do, we will do it in a way it is supposed to be. There is no compromise on the implementation part, ArtLaunch part. Yeah, we cannot compromise. So in fact, in even this assignment, we initially were supposed to do even pre-COVID. If we have started right time, we would have actually launched art before the COVID itself. Yeah. But we delayed by 3 months after initial discussions. They said, okay, December 9, November, first meeting happened. December, we had some sessions. If you would have launched it by February, I would have launched or could have launched a PA planning. But we had a major release for them. That let's release it and then we'll do it sometime later. That's how it happened. So the art launch got postponed. But my working agreement with the leadership was that whenever you do it, I want you to follow the guidelines. You should be in a meditative mindset to a large extent. So you should be ready to go through the hockey stick experience. Yeah. And if you don't do that, see, I'm in a hurry to release, and in the middle, I also want a transformation. It doesn't happen. There's no answer, straight answer saying that let's do this and that.
So do we do actually, for the new releases or whatever new demands comes actually, we start putting into the pipeline and start adopting a practices for those, isn't it? That will be the right approach, isn't it, JP? Rather than,
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
we can do that. Yeah, that is one more way. So I give multiple options. Once I understand the business challenges, I try to give multiple options to see how they can actually improve. And I think it can be given. So if you have 200 people or 100 people, you don't have to impact all the 100 people. Keep some 50. Right. Recently, I did one more art launch where we did 50 people, 50, 60 people first. And then after that, we did another 50, 60 people, right? So that, there is somebody who's moving to safe and then they're not going to be disturbed. I want them to learn after a PI, let us see, we can bring the rest of the guys, right? We can take multiple approaches. But when we do it right. Yeah, that's important.
That's correct. See, like why Spotify model more in the market actually at the moment, that is a more of a squad model. I'm not sure you have heard about it. You will have actually multiple squads there. Say example, in banking, we have personal banking, that is one squad. Business banking, that is one squad. In that we have the multiple multiple teams there. There will be chapter leads in between, which will be shared basically. That is a kind of SME or a QA chapter, or could be a PO chapter. It could be anything. Yeah. So that's why they are going, because creating a small scrum team and then align together, that is a little bit easy for them. Yeah, you must go for that one, JP. Then yeah, because you need to have more little bit insight of that particular model. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will. Thanks for that input. Sure. Any other questions? I see somebody,
JP,
sorry.
I have a question. Sorry. So I think in the session, I think there are lots of insights were there. Right? Definitely, I think we learned a lot. So what is the next step? Like how we can connect? Are you planning to do any workshop or mentoring or like?
Oh, well, we do workshops. We do. We are more. We are more of consulting and training company. We are not a training company alone, but we do a lot of workshops also. Right, I'm a 5-day consultant. I also do the weekend workshops. I have a bunch of our trainers are all consultants, right? Experienced people. We do workshops, right? Weekend workshops. And if you want to learn more about SAFe, and if you're excited about this, and SAFe will help you, right? Maybe I would encourage you to, go to LeanWisdom website and look at it and find the slot. I'm doing one workshop maybe in the next 2 weeks or so. Once in 1.5 months, I definitely do one workshop. And there are others also do it. I think it's 2 days of leading SAFe that we conduct where you understand SAFe in and out, right, thoroughly.
So is it possible, like before doing any certification?
Right, and we spend around 9 hours of workshop. And see, what I would suggest is, I always tell people that when you come to a workshop, certification is one part of it, but there should be a purpose for it to come, learn, go back and implement. Yeah. If you see that similar problems you have and it's going to help you, you're most welcome to attend that. Yeah. Certification is a byproduct. You'll get it. Yeah. You should get the business benefit. Yeah. Purpose should be achieved. If you see a similar problem, please reach out to my team and then we'll be able to help you.
Sure. Thank you.
Any more questions, Steve? Any other questions?
JP, I have one question. Actually, my management want to have the SAFe implementation, but due to budgetary issue, they don't want to exactly SAFe. Like they want to run a program that will follow the SAFe, run the program, but we will not have the actual SAFe. So how to approach that management on this question, like just follow taking the SAFe process into our program rather than actual SAFe implementation. So how to approach to the management and saying like it will be very difficult.
Yeah, so it is not, my answer is like, when you compromise, right, you don't get results.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I make a working agreement sometimes with the leaders saying that, if you compromise, you're not going to get it. Like, structural agility is not right. Your teams are not built right. Cross-functional skills are not built. Your SMs are not good. POs are not good. Or, your organizational structure is not right. Or you're not willing to spend effort on in fixing some of the technical debts and things like that. Right. It's not going to give you results. Right. SAFe is a framework. It's a wonderful framework. But if the leaders are not aligned, if they want to compromise from the beginning, that gives me a message that they're okay to not get that wow result. Yeah. And if that is the case, yeah, it will give you some result. I'm okay with that. I think it's okay. Yeah, I think you have to live with this. I personally don't I try to run away from such engagements, right? Because it just doesn't help anybody. Yeah. I think you need to probably talk to your leaders and say that, hey, it's not going to work. Right, we're just making a kitchery out of this whole thing. Right, we mix something here, something there, and we want to do in a way, our way of doing it. Right, and there are so many case studies that exist that tells us that this works. This framework works if you implement the right way. If people don't want to do that, right, compromise, and we think, if we were so intelligent, and then all our existing past projects should have been very successful, isn't it? Our past product development should have been very successful. Why are we suffering in terms of predictability, in terms of cost management, in terms of releasing on time, releasing faster to market? We struggled. We are pretty mature in the industry even today. Yeah, we have a long way to go. I think these are the frameworks with cultural mindset of the leaders. That's why I said in my statement also, leaders change and then the organization change. If the leaders don't change, the organization don't change. And the leaders have to understand.
Yeah, right. But due to the SAFe is very expensive, so many programs are not having that much budget, even portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
JP, just one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to understand, like, in a PI planning, the team commits to an objectives, right? And what happens if during the PI execution, the objectives are no more valid due to some market events? How does SAFE handles that?
See, if it happens, no, the answer is depends. If it happens once in a while, because of the market events, there's something which is changing in the market. For example, you started with the PI planning. COVID came in the middle. Yeah, your business model has changed now. It was not expected. Now, in the middle of the PI, you want to relook at your business, your PI objective, because the objective is no more valid, right? It is okay. If it happens once in a while, or competitor has released a product, now you have to respond to the market, right? We just did a PA planning last week, and then competitor released a product, and that product has got so many features that we have to respond back. Now you have to call off your PA and then want to launch into the next PA plan with a better backlog. If it is once in a while, it is okay. I have seen maybe once, in my entire career that PA planning was called off. After the PA planning was called off, and we did a replanning because of obsolete PA objectives. Yeah, but it is not common. If you see that it is common, it directly connects with our readiness. It has a direct connect with the readiness. Why we are changing in the middle of the PI is because I didn't think about this in the PI planning, but I think about it after iteration. This is purely the discipline part of the product management, architecture, the art leaders, business owners, and so on. This has to be fixed through a proper visioning, road mapping, and things like that, right? This, if it happens more, like let's cancel it now. I think the people who are responsible for that should be held, not the entire team. The people who suffer because of the replanning is the entire engineering team, but the people who create are the leaders. Yeah, so it has to be fixed on the top. If it's a pattern, if it's a one-off case, you can't help it because it's a business. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. So, I mean, there can be instances where the market is very dynamic, right? So, I have seen one example where they have customized SAFE to exclude PI planning, but introduce continuous planning. And it seems to be working for them, right? So, these are certain customizations which seems to be working for certain organizations.
Yeah, see, all that, even Dean Leffingwell, yeah, is my, what do you say? I treat him like, he's a god, right? He's so good in SAFE. He also says, you follow SAFE, at some point, you have to change your way of working from just SAFE, because don't just get stuck with the way that we are suggesting. If it is better for you, move on. Right? That's why I said you cannot tweak the process for your advantage. You should tweak the process for the organization's benefit. And that is what, like, there are organizations which are releasing, like Amazon is releasing 1 lakh, 2 lakh times a day. Right? We cannot teach them Scrum saying that, work on 2 weeks of Scrum and then, deliver at the end. Right? They have gone ahead of it. Probably then testing the continuous delivery pipeline is very important for them, not the running 2 weeks iterations. Yeah. So the maturity goes up, right? Tweak your process for that, not for our benefit or our personal advantage. Yeah.
Right. Similarly, in a very highly integrated system, the system demos also doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because when you are already doing your iteration demos, you already have an integrated system in place.
Yeah, so I've seen, even if you're releasing twice an iteration, every week we release system demo. See, if you see a principle, safe principle, right? There is a principle number 2, apply systems thinking, right? Principles govern, cadence and synchronization, apply cadence and synchronize with cost domain planning. What happens is the system demo brings everybody together, and they all see holistically what has been built by these 10-15 teams. Right? I know what I have built in my team. Right? I know everybody in my team what they've built. But do I understand the entire system, what has been built? It also gives this product domain knowledge, yeah, for a holistic system. I would say that apply cadence, don't stop, but release on demand. If you want to release every week, every day you release, but just don't miss out on the cadence part. At least for the whole team, whole organization to work together. It just brings in. It's a finally human, right? Human come together, collaborate. Just the power is very different.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Great. So if you don't have any other questions, thank you so much. I think some of you decided to stay back and longer than the time. I think it is already 15-20 minutes more. right? And also thank you so much for your time and then your participation here. Looking forward to meet you again in the next in the next webinar. We will do much more often going forward. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, team.
Thank you, JP.
Thank you, JP.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.